Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm working on a new article this week on the Code of Silence. This past week, my small New England quiet community was shocked and stunned over a brutal murder. Much to our dismay, we discovered that the gruesome act was actually carried out by 4 of our local teenagers, 2 of whom attended my local high school. As a community person and a parent, I was further dismayed to learn that my son's response to this was that many children at the school, many of the kids at the high school, knew about this ahead of time. It wasn't a surprise to them because, as he said, quote, the kids involved had been talking about it for weeks. This led me to go back and revisit 2 pieces of research I've covered earlier on the topic of the Code of Silence. One of them was an address that I listened to last year at the APA National Conference in New Orleans. A leading researcher was giving his research on this issue of the Code of Silence and talking about how high schools can intervene and help students understand the difference between snitching and seeking help. This code of silence idea that kids know about events that are going to happen before they happen, but they're afraid to report those to an adult because it is seen as snitching. And the research on that, and you might want to go back and read the article that I covered on the website, did talk about the proactive intervention strategies that schools can carry out to help kids understand that there is a difference between snitching and actually seeking help. The other article was one from this year's Journal of Educational Psychology, the February issue. They did a study with 2,000 adolescents from 13 different types of schools around the country, urban, suburban, different regions of the nation, and gave them a hypothetical scenario about what would they do if something bad was going to happen at their school that they were aware of because students were talking about it. And they gave them this hypothetical situation and gave them 4 choices of actions they would take. Either would they intervene directly with the kids, would they tell a teacher or principal or other adult at the school, would they discuss it with a friend but not another adult, or would they do nothing? And it was interesting to see the differences. They compared high school and middle school kids. Most of the kids, whether high school or middle school, chose to take some action on their own, actually directly intervening. Neither of those 2 groups was very likely to confide in a teacher or a principal or another adult. And what was interesting is that the reason they didn't do that was the students believed that confiding in a teacher or an administrator would actually have some unfavorable consequences for themselves and also for their peer that was involved. Students with positive perceptions of their school were more likely to say they would do something rather than ignore the peer's dangerous intervention. So these findings, and we're going to look quite a bit this year. I've got an article going right now on this Code of Silence, looking at intervention strategies that schools can make to try to build a sense of support in their school, feelings of trust, student positive regard for their community, so that we can help overcome this code of silence that so infects our high schools today. For more information and to read the research on this and the citations, go to brains.org.